Can you imagine a world without the internet? In the blink of an eye, the digital landscape that has become so integral to our daily lives vanishes. No more emails, no more social media, no more video calls. We live in a time where the internet is as omnipresent as the air we breathe, invisibly connecting us all in a grand global web. Think about it. The internet is no longer a luxury but a necessity. It's the backbone of our communication, the lifeblood of our work, the cornerstone of our education, and the magic wand of our entertainment. It's the invisible thread that binds us all, transcending borders and time zones, creating a digital society where information is the currency and connectivity is the norm. Picture your day-to-day life. You wake up to the sound of an alarm from your smartphone, check your emails, read the news, maybe even do a quick workout following a YouTube video. You attend meetings virtually, collaborate on projects with teammates from around the world, and even learn new skills through online courses. When the day is done, you unwind by streaming your favorite show or playing an online game. The internet is woven into the fabric of our lives, touching every aspect from the mundane to the extraordinary. But let's indulge in a flight of fancy. Let's imagine for a moment a world without the internet. It's a thought-provoking scenario, isn't it? A world where information doesn't travel at the speed of light, where people are not always connected, where the digital society we've built crumbles into obsolescence. It's like envisioning a world without electricity or running water, an unthinkable scenario that seems far removed from our reality. But is it? You see, as much as the internet has become a critical part of our lives, its disappearance is not entirely beyond the realm of possibility. A massive solar flare, a catastrophic cyber attack, or even a global policy change could potentially pull the plug on our digital lives. Indeed, a world without the internet seems unimaginable yet possible. So, what happens when the internet suddenly vanishes? Picture this. You're in the middle of sending a text message and suddenly, everything goes silent. You can't send or receive messages, you can't make or receive calls. The immediate impact of an internet blackout would be a complete communication shutdown. Imagine trying to reach out to your loved ones, but you can't. The world would plunge into a deafening silence, the likes of which we haven't experienced since the days before the telegraph. But it's not just our personal communications that would be affected. Businesses would be in disarray. The stock market, which heavily relies on the internet for real-time updates, would crash. The sudden lack of information would create a panic, leading to a financial meltdown. We're talking about a global recession, or perhaps even a depression, that could take years to recover from. Let's not forget about air travel. Airports around the world rely on the internet for everything from booking tickets to tracking flights. A sudden internet blackout would cause massive disruption, grounding flights and stranding passengers. It would be a logistical nightmare on a scale we've never seen before. And then there's the banking system. Think about it. We use the internet for almost all our financial transactions these days. We transfer money, pay bills, and even apply for loans online. Without the internet, all these transactions would come to a screeching halt. ATMs would stop working. Credit card transactions would be impossible. It would be like living in a world with no money. The immediate aftermath of an internet blackout would be chaos. We're so dependent on the internet that we can't even imagine what life would be like without it. It's like pulling the plug on the modern world. Everything would stop. Everything would change. The immediate aftermath would be nothing short of catastrophic. But what about the long-term implications? Without the internet, the first to take a hit would be the global economies. The world's economic structure has become significantly reliant on the digital marketplace. Online businesses, e-commerce, digital banking, and global trade would all come to a standstill. This could potentially lead to a global recession, the likes of which have never been seen before. Next up, let's talk about education. The internet has democratized access to knowledge, breaking down geographical barriers and making learning a truly global endeavor. In a world without the internet, this access to information would be severely curtailed. Remote learning would no longer be an option, and the gap between privileged and underprivileged students would widen once again. Healthcare would also suffer. Telemedicine, online health records, and advancements in AI-based diagnostics and research would be lost. Hospitals and clinics would have to revert to more traditional methods of record-keeping and patient management. This could slow down the efficiency of healthcare delivery and potentially impact the quality of care received. Finally, our personal relationships. In a world where social media and instant messaging have become the norm for communication, a life without the internet would mean redefining the way we connect with others. Long-distance relationships, whether familial or romantic, would become more challenging to maintain. The sense of global community that the internet has fostered would be lost. In essence, a world without the internet would be a world that moves at a slower pace. It would be a world where access to information, goods and services would become more localized, and global interconnectedness would be significantly diminished. The long-term consequences could reshape our world as we know it. In every cloud there's a silver lining. So, what could be the positives of a world without the internet? The lack of internet could pave the way for a resurgence of face-to-face social interactions. Without the convenience of virtual platforms, we may find ourselves relearning the art of conversation, reconnecting with our communities, and rediscovering the nuances of human interaction that are often lost in the digital realm. The charm of handwritten letters, the thrill of unexpected visits, and the joy of shared experiences in real time could once again become the norm. Privacy, a concept seemingly eroded by the internet, might make a strong comeback in an offline world. Without the constant surveillance of online trackers and cookies, our personal information would no longer be commodities traded on the digital market. The world would cease to be a place where every click, every like, every share is monitored, analyzed, and stored for targeted advertising or worse. Mental health could see a significant improvement as well. Without the internet, we might be free from the constant bombardment of information, the pressure of social media perfection, and the addictive pull of endless scrolling. We could regain control over our attention, cultivate mindfulness, and maybe even rediscover the joy of boredom. And let's not forget the potential for a slower, more focused lifestyle. The internet, with its endless stream of information and distractions, often leaves us feeling overwhelmed and scattered. Without it, we could return to a time where we read books instead of blog posts, listen to entire albums instead of single songs, and completed tasks without a barrage of notifications disrupting our focus. In essence, an internet-free world could reset our pace of life, allowing us to appreciate the moment, engage more deeply with our surroundings, and ultimately live more fulfilling lives. Though it's a daunting prospect, a world without the internet may not be entirely bleak. So, could we survive in a world without the internet? It's a question that might send shivers down the spine of the digital natives among us, but it's one we've attempted to answer today. Let's take a moment to recap the key points we've discussed. Without the internet, we'd be stepping back in time, back to an era where information didn't flow as freely or as rapidly as it does today. We'd lose the instant connectivity that we've grown so accustomed to, and we'd have to relearn the art of patience. From business operations to education, from communication to entertainment, every sector would take a hit. The immediate aftermath would be chaotic, to say the least. However, as we've explored, not all the consequences would be negative. The loss of the internet might mean a resurgence of direct, face-to-face interactions. We might see a revival of traditional forms of communication and entertainment. We might even have a chance to break free from the chains of digital addiction that bind so many of us. But now, it's time to weigh the potential pros and cons. On one hand, we have the undeniable conveniences and opportunities that the internet provides. On the other, we have the potential for a slower, perhaps more meaningful way of life, free from the constant bombardment of digital information. And yet, at the heart of this discussion is the remarkable nature of human adaptability and resilience. History is brimming with instances of humanity adapting to change, evolving with the times, and overcoming adversity. Would the loss of the internet be challenging? Absolutely. Would it bring about changes we can't even begin to predict? Likely. But would it signal the end of the world as we know it? Not quite. We've survived and thrived before the advent of the internet, and there's every reason to believe we could do it again. In the end, life without the internet would be drastically different, but it would go on. After all, the human spirit is known for its ability to adapt and overcome.